in the future. I have three main things that I just want to go through to critique on language first, and then we'll go over the good things because it's always good to end on a positive note, and there's a lot of good here tonight. But first we'll go through the things that I noticed. So I think as far as language, one of the things that really helps us polish our speeches is transitions and stock phrases in English. And these are things that we all just need to work on memorizing. Some things that I heard that we can sort of polish up on. I wish that you can becomes I hope that you will. Welcome to see our show becomes welcome to our show. Know about you becomes meet you. For a second part becomes in addition to. Noticing the difference between since and even though. These are very different things. So we want to make sure when we use our transitions that we're kind of looking to see what our point is when we're going forward, right? So if you say, since I went to the gym today, I can eat all the cake I want. It's different than saying, even though I went to the gym today, I can eat all the cake I want. So it's sort of a different tone, so we want to make sure we're looking for that in our transitions. You would probably wonder becomes you may be wondering. In our lives, and it's a lot different than saying in reality, right? So if we say something like in our daily lives, it's a lot different than saying in reality. So kind of choosing transitions that make our story relatable. Owing to, as evidence in, as I mentioned before, I have the privilege to, or I have the honor to, are all really, really good transitions that we can pay attention to. And I think in general you guys did a good job. The second thing I wanted to go over is softening. So a lot of times in a foreign language, and I know that's because I study Chinese, we tend to say things that come off as being very direct, like I want you to, as opposed to I would like you to, or would you please. Can you, as opposed to may. And so just kind of the difference between those helps soften your tone, especially when you're giving a speech. It's important that you relate to the audience, and so if you're saying, can you, as opposed to, I would like you to, or would you please, it will just help the audience relate to you a little bit more. As for pronunciation, I'm extremely impressed. As a foreign language learner myself, tones are the worst, and so you guys are doing a really, really great job. Some pronunciations I noticed, tolerate, brave, flavor, engineering, and then of course on and in, just paying attention to the difference between those words. I think the A sound, what I heard a couple of times tonight, I didn't hear, and then also emphasis on syllables, right? So just making sure that if we're going to have a word, especially when we repeat several times in our speech, we want to make sure we know that we're putting the emphasis on the right syllable. Okay, as far as good things, because there was a lot. You guys did a great job with your descriptive adjectives. I felt like I was really involved in your stories. For example, you talked about getting tan in Tainan and going to Hawaii, and I felt like I was feeling the sun on my skin, and I was like, I'm about to book a trip to Tainan right now. So I haven't been there, so I need to go, I guess. And I thought that Anne, you did a really good job talking about Anne of Green Gables and your parents, and you also described the fish in the pond. And so I was like seeing the fish as they were going by, like, oh, she likes to look at the fish and stuff. Overall, your pronunciation was very clear, and in your extemporaneous speaking, I didn't hear a lot of ums or uhs. You guys did a good job of going to your examples, right? Examples from your daily life, and I think that if you're struggling for a word, it's always good to go back to something that you've experienced, because you will be able to come up with the words much more quickly when you're all familiar with this, obviously, because you did a really good job of saying, take my friend for example, and that's a really good stock phrase as well. Sort of allow me to explain a time when I felt this way, and so those are really, really good things that you guys all did. I guess one more thing I would say is the yeah, so thing. So going back to this, like, we always go back to so as opposed to or So just kind of watching that when we're transitioning. Instead of using yeah, so, kind of memorizing another phrase that we could go to, or kind of working towards, going on right on to our next sentence. So, yeah, I think that's all I want to say. Again, really, really impressed by everyone, and thank you for having me. It's an honor.